to our new academic year. I welcome you all to 10th standard. Before entering into the new syllabus, let's have a small revision or recap of what we have learned last year. We have learned various lessons in 9th standard under science, especially in biology. So let me give a small recap of what you have learned last year. Out of about 25 lessons in 9th standard, there are some 8 biology lessons, of which I am going to concentrate. It is very difficult to go through all the lessons, but still I will try to complete my best. Our first biology lesson is chapter 17, Animal Kingdom. In this lesson, we are learning about how animals are classified. By this time you should be knowing that the whole living organisms are classified into 2 main groups, plants and animals. But there is a classification known as Whittaker's 5 kingdom classification, who classifies the living organisms into 5 divisions, and that's why it is known as 5 kingdom classification, which includes Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. Anyhow, those things you learn in higher classes. By time being, based on what this classification is done, this is what we are going to learn. And secondly, we are going to have a brief idea about animal kingdom classification. First of all, what is classification? Classification is grouping of organisms based on their similarities and dissimilarities. And there is another term named as taxonomy. The study of classification is known as taxonomy. There is a hierarchy of classification which is none other than kingdom, phylum or division, class, order, family, genus and species. This is the hierarchy of classification. And second is based on what concept they classify. So based on certain features, the whole living organisms, especially animal kingdom, is classified. 1. Level of organization, that is whether the living organism is unicellular or multicellular. The second is symmetry, whether the living organism has equal way of organs, equal arrangement of organs or not. Based on that, it is classified as asymmetry, bilateral symmetry and radial symmetry. Asymmetry, if there is no equal halves. Bisymmetry, which can be divided only in one plane, and radial symmetry, in any planes if you see, you can get 2 equal halves. Then third one is germ layer. Based on the number of germ layers, it is classified into diploblastic and triploblastic animals. If it has 2 layers, that is ectoderm and endoderm, it is known as diploblastic animal. If it has 3 layers, that is ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm, it is known as triploblastic animals. The next concept is binomial nomenclature, that is naming each and every living organism into 2 names, one genus name and other species name. So many examples are there under binomial nomenclature. For example, the scientific name of human beings is Homo sapien. Scientific name of cockroach is Periplaneta americana. Scientific name of rice is Oryza sativa. So like that we have plenty of names for different living organisms, both plants and animals. Naming each and every organism in 2 words, one genus name and other species name, is actually known as binomial nomenclature. Animal kingdom, that is the whole animals that are found in this earth, are classified into basically 2 types as invertebrates and vertebrates. Invertebrates which does not have backbone and vertebrates which have backbone. The invertebrates, you have different phylums like phylum Porifera, phylum Coelenterata, phylum Platyhelminthes, phylum Ascalminthus, phylum Annelida, phylum Arthropoda, phylum Mollusca, and the phylum Ichnodermata. And under vertebrates, there is an important phylum, that is phylum Chordata. So this first Porifera, they are multicellular animals with pores on their surface. Example, sponges, which lives under the sea, which is found under the sea. So they have small pores, and so they are known as Porifera or poriferans. Second one is Coelenterata. These animals, they have a coelom, that is a cavity inside your body, and so they are known as Coelenterata. Example, hydra and jellyfish. The third one is phylum Platyhelminthes, that is flat worms, which is dorsoventrally flattened. Flat worms are known as Platyhelminthes. Example, good example is tapeworm and planaria. The next one is phylum Ascalminthus, which is none other than roundworms. Okay, the roundworms, example Ascaris, which is a parasite found in small kids, causing disease. The next is phylum Annelida. Annelids includes earthworms. Okay, earthworms which has a segmented body. That is the specialty of annelids. The next one is Arthropoda. That is insects come under Arthropoda, where you come across segmented body. And the second one is they have 3 pairs of legs and 2 pairs of wings. The next is phylum Mollusca, none other than snail, which is found inside the shell. Those kind of animals come under Mollusca, that is snail and clams, where you come across a shell inside which you come across the living organism. The next is phylum Ichnodermata, which has spiny structures, example starfish. And finally, phylum Chordata, which are none other than vertebrated animals, that is animals which have backbone are known as vertebrated animals, or phylum Chordata, which I can also be called as vertebrate. Okay. This phylum Vertebrata classified into many classes, especially 5 classes, which includes class Pisces, class Amphibia, class Reptilia, class Aves, and class Mammalia. So first Pisces, which includes all kinds of fishes. Amphibians, which includes all kinds of frogs and toads. They are called amphibians because they can survive both in water and land. Then Reptilia, which includes lizards, crocodiles, alligators, snakes, and salamanders, garden lizards, chameleon, etc. These animals, they crawl and move. They crawl on the substratum and move, and so they classified under Reptilia. Even though there are some which are amphibious in nature, these are classified separately as Reptilia. Next, class Aves, which includes all kinds of birds, and class Mammalia, which includes all mammals. That is, mammals are animals which give birth to young one and feed the young one with milk. So, with regard to Aves, that is birds, they have feathers on their body. They can fly mostly. Most of the birds they can fly, except some they cannot fly. And next one is since they are flying for buoyancy, they have pneumatic bones filled with the air. In case of mammals, they have mammary gland, and so they are called as mammals. That is milk-producing gland known as mammary glands, which are found in the females. And those which feed the young ones with milk, and so they are collectively known as mammals. The next topic is chapter 18, organization of tissues. In this topic, first we are going to learn about plant tissues, followed by animal tissues. Plant tissues, which can be classified into 2 types as temporary tissues and permanent tissues. Temporary tissues, where the tissues are temporary, at a circumstance, this temporary can become permanent. But permanent tissues, as per the name, they are always permanent. They cannot be transferred or transformed into any other tissue. Temporary tissues are also known as meristem. which is classified into three types as apical meristem, lateral meristem and intercalary meristem. Apical meristem which are found at the two ends of a plant, one at the shoot system in the stem and other at the root end. That is known as apical meristem. Apical means end. Then intercalary meristem which are found near the internodes. I hope you know the place where a stem or a branch or a leaf arises is known as node. The space between two nodes is known as internode. So where you come across this intercalary meristem and which is responsible for the internodal elongation of a stem. And third one is lateral meristem which is found on the surface of the stem and that helps in the development of girth or width of the stem or shoot system. So these are the three types of meristems. The next one is permanent tissues. This permanent tissue classified into two types as simple and complex. So with regard to simple tissues, there are three types of simple tissues, namely collenchyma, parenchyma and sclerenchyma. And with related to complex tissues, there are two types of complex tissues which are also known as vascular tissues, which includes xylem and the phloem. And you all know the xylem and phloem which are involved in the transportation of food and water. That is, xylem tissues are involved in the transportation of water from the root system towards the shoot system, which is absorbed by the root hairs. And similarly, the food that is produced in the leaves are transported to all parts of the body through the phloem tissues. That is, starch is transported through phloem. Xylem, there are four types of xylem, which includes xylem brachis, xylem vessels, xylem fiber and xylem parenchyma. In phloem, there are again four types of phloem tissues, which includes sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem fiber and the phloem parenchyma. So this is a brief idea about your plant tissues. The study of cell is known as cytology. The study of tissues is known as histology. In animals, we have two types of tissues, simple and compound tissues. If a group of cells of the same origin, which are similar and of the same origin, they are known as simple tissues. A group of cells with a different structure or function, but they group together to form a tissue, and those are known as compound tissues. In animals, we have four types of tissues, which include epithelial, muscular, connective and nervous tissue. Epithelial tissue which covers the whole body and protects the internal structures. Then muscular tissue which is involved for locomotion or movement from one place to another. Then nervous tissue which is involved in the coordination of the whole organs and whole body. And finally connective tissue which connects one tissue and the other. There are two types of epithelium, one is simple and compound epithelium. And there are few subtypes of simple epithelium, which includes squamous, columnar, cuboidal, ciliated and glandular. Connective tissues include areolar tissue, bone, ligaments, tendons and blood. Muscular tissue is classified into skeletal muscles, smooth muscles and cardiac muscles. Nervous tissue comprises of neurons, which are found all over the body and which is involved in the organization of the body, of the whole structure. The next topic is cell division. So we have three types of cell division, which includes amitosis, mitosis and meiosis. The division that takes place in unicellular microorganisms are known as amitosis, where the cell without the involvement of chromosomes divides into two. For example, binary fission is a amitotic cell division, which is found in unicellular, most of the unicellular microorganisms. In mitosis and meiosis, chromosomes are involved. I hope you know what is the chromosome. The chromosome is comprised of DNA found inside the nucleus of each cell. Mitosis is an equational division where the cell divides into two equal halves. That is, the chromosome number is maintained. For example, in humans, the number of chromosomes is 46. When a cell divides into two, each cell contains 46 chromosomes. But in meiosis, a cell divides into four daughter cells with half the number of chromosomes. Again, for example, in humans, I said there are 46 chromosomes, but when that one human cell divides into four daughter cells, each cell will be having only half the number, that is only 23. And this meiosis takes place in gametes, that is in the production of sperm and ovum. Since the number of chromosomes is reduced to half, this is useful in actually fertilization process, where again a sperm with 23 and the ovum with the 23 fuses to form a zygote with the 23 plus 23, that is 46 number of chromosomes. And thereby the number of chromosomes is always maintained, and thereby the chromosome nature of a species is maintained. Mitosis takes place when there is growth of a living organism, especially multicellular organism. Second one is healing of wounds, and third one is when there is a regeneration which is found in certain animals like the tail of lizard, the arms of planaria, or the arms of starfish, or the tail of earthworm. All these are because of mitosis, where the structure is maintained since the chromosome is maintained.